I am finally going to do a fashion show to celebrate the success of the Playsuit.
Wow. Congratulations.
Amazing.
That's exciting.
We're gonna show at Toronto Fashion Week on, I'm gonna say April 28th. It may also be April 29th, but I think they're gonna put us on the Friday night.
Amazing.
I have already booked the flights for Darcy, Michael, and Jeremy, my big TikTokers,
Aww.
who are
So
flying
nice.
first class bougie bitches.
Yeah.
And Rebecca and her partner are coming from LA.
Oh my God.
So I have my I cannot wait because both of them are so excited.
Evan, welcome to Caster Creators.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So glad.
I started the day on a Zoom, we're on a Google Meet with Casey. And I said to her, Casey, that's a phenomenal outfit. And she said, well, guess what?
It's the famous Evan Biddell Playsuit, which is great to wear. It's my favorite. I wore it in a fashion show.
You did. You wore it at the poolside show.
Yeah.
This roll of fabric I found at Globetex in Montreal, which is this forgotten warehouse way up north of the city with all this fabric sitting there. And I found this massive roll of that chain print.
Yeah, I love it.
It reminds me of a Hermes scarf that actually I have.
It's very that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And that is the result of a heck of a long career designing a lot of different things.
Oh yeah. I made almost anything you could think of. And it's funny because if you put all my collections side by side today, it could have been a different designer designing each one.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a signature there.
It's different facets of your personality all coming out.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I realized that my brand was actually my person.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I'm a big fat queer guy who other larger sized queer people really relate to.
Yeah.
So my gender fluidity, all of that, my size, my physical body size, all of it is just very Playsuit.
Yeah.
And I didn't I didn't necessarily want it to be like that. But when I discovered that, I have to really love it. And if I love it, then people will love it. But it also had to go on my body and I had to cover some bases.
Yeah.
But the first Playsuit I ever made, I was to go to Burning Man because I wanted to be in the desert. I was scared to go to Burning Man for years before I ever went.
Right.
Because I thought the heat would kill me.
Okay.
Right.
I've never been, but I think I'd enjoy it.
And so I wanted to be naked under the sun for a week. But so I made the Playsuit to feel like I was naked without getting sunburnt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Well, there's so many times that I watch, Talia and I will go out to an event or to a dinner or whatever, and whatever she's wearing, it looks so comfortable. She's in a dress, she tossed it on, and I'm in pants and, and...
Leg jail.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can completely identify with it. I don't know, if I would hop over to it so quickly, but if I were going to somewhere hot, I can definitely imagine wearing it. And around the house, I can imagine wearing it.
It's so incredibly comfortable.
Now, what you've got on, though, is different.
Mm-hmm. I'm wearing the work suit, which actually
I can see myself
just launched
today.
Yeah.
Amazing.
2 hours ago.
Yeah, amazing.
Half of them are already gone. So I knew that they were going to be popular, but I'm completely self-funded at this point. So I start very slow and small when I do anything new. No one's paying for it but me. So we did a small sort of test run and the response has been great. We need to do some larger sizes. The next time I'm wearing one of these, it's going to be cartoonishly big on me.
What's on the bottom, though? Does it just goes down to big legs?
Or it's like a romper. Down? It's basically a mechanic suit romper, but with my custom buttons. I finally have my logo on the buttons.
Oh, I love it.
And it's like the masculine, hard response to the soft, feminine Playsuit.
Right.
Yes. Well, I can see myself wearing that.
Yeah,
actually, this is kind of a bit of
the top of your outfit
variant.
It is this. It's a version of that. I feel like this would be the jacket, that would be the shirt.
Mm-hmm. I find these pockets come in handy more than you'd think. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
My joint and lighter are my other jacket.
Yeah. I love one piece outfits, just in general. And I was thinking, I saw Andrea in the Playsuit and I was like, what about a larger size, but also what about a extra little petite size? Because, a small person, I love that. When I got my first Playsuit, I have now a small one, but they were a one size to start.
They started as one size. And it's funny because it's extra small to large. So I took the size that I wear thinking that I'm the biggest person in the world that I've ever met. Like, so everybody must be smaller than me. So my size was large. And so I kept grading it down and down. And so I graded it down 2 sizes to small. And that still wasn't small enough. So now we have extra small to large instead of small to extra large.
Yeah.
But I can't change it because I have thousands of customers that depend on rebuying their size.
Yeah.
So we've actually added an extra small, which I was going to just call junior, but that...
That's cute, though, to have an extra small. I like that.
Yeah, and I've been asked for kids' playsuits for years, but then I'm also like back to my like rules that I have. Like, if I cannot market it, I am not going to try to sell it.
Right.
You maybe should have called your size small and went down deep into the extras.
So who learned their lesson? Yes. So guess what size work suit I wear? I wear a medium.
Okay. There you go.
Because after I've gotten to know my customers who are they've changed my life. My new customers in the last few years I get emotional when I think about it because some of the testimonials that I hear and just the negative voices in their head that they have about their body and how they go away when they wear my clothes. Like, that's why I liked to make clothes when I was young, to like shut those voices up, you know?
Yeah.
And so now that I know like bigger body people want to buy from me, I'm a medium.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a large and an extra large out there still.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I think that's a really nice, beautiful way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's emotional because I'm so connected with the customers now.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I refuse to have anybody else do my customer service. Like, if somebody gets a playsuit and if there's something wrong with it or they don't like the fit or whatever, like, they deal directly with me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I put that fire out. Like, I'm not here to have somebody upset with what they bought from me.
Yeah.
Right. I am here to spread joy. Like, if you don't feel joyful when you get your package, email me. I will make it right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And it really is joyful when you put it on. Like, I remember when I first got mine, we was living at the cottage and I went outside and I had Sean get the drone and film me spinning around outside. And I was just it was like a sad time in the world. And it was a yellow playsuit and I was just like a radiant sunshine in that thing. It just made me feel so happy.
It was a sad time in the world. And it was actually 2020 and the pandemic hit and we were all closed down. I lost all my customers. Before the playsuit, I was doing custom bridal or dressing musicians for shows or doing like evening wear for people or I was doing custom work a lot and it all just disappeared. And I was like, what am I going to do? And so I was like, well, the government's going to give me $2,000. I can kind of fuck around for a bit. So So I put on a playsuit and I decided to go live on Facebook every Sunday. Well, I went live on Facebook once.
Yeah.
And it went really well. And I had so much fun dancing.
I remember I danced with you. Yeah, it was great.
And then my friends, it was like maybe 40 people on Facebook joined or whatever, but it was all people I knew. And they were so excited to like dance in their house. We're all locked up at this point, right? I was like a boy in a box in a video, like playing house music, like raising vibrations. And then after every Sunday, I would get all these orders. And so all week long, I was like cutting and sewing playsuits and then going live the next Sunday. And then I would like release a new suit and have it like in the video.
Yeah.
But just raising spirits. And so many people have told me since, like, they were in this darkness until those sessions kind of pulled them out of the darkness. And that's when I knew that, okay, the playsuit's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not selling clothes anymore. I'm selling pure joy.
Yeah.
And that's what the world needed because you needed to be essential. And everything I had made before the playsuit was completely non-essential. Like those clothes I was making, like, come on, they're for a runway or for a moment or for a music video. That's not essential. That's art, right? So I'm not saying art isn't essential.
No. But I know what you mean. So like, let's take a look at the timeline of the playsuit from like when it started to where it is now. Because you've had some pretty big milestones with this outfit.
Yeah. So it started in the pandemic. The playsuit started in 2020. I realized I needed to become essential and I needed to go online. So I set up my online shop to sell a black playsuit. I only did black because it was just... I needed something that was simple enough for me to do. Yeah. I called myself a fashion designer for a long time, but I am not the best fashion designer in the world. I'm very like spontaneous. I can cut and sew like a maniac, but I always fell off when it came to production, thinking about doing sizing for people and different like all of that stuff, like a pair of pants, you want to offer like 18 different sizes. Like that closed my creativity. But the playsuit was something that I could do that was easy enough to make in Canada labor-wise, and the fabric was at a cost that it could be accessible. So it was just sort of this perfect storm of a product that could be made in Canada. And 2020 was when I started going live. And then I moved back to Toronto from Montreal at the time. In 2021, early 2021, I found a factory, my first factory. And they said, well, you need a pattern and bring us some fabric, and we need to do at least 100. And at this point, I had no money. Like I had like whatever money a person has. I went with whatever I had and bought all this fabric literally from Queen Street, like digging in the basement at Daniel's or like over at Leo's, like trying to find deals. And so I brought all the fabric to the factory, and they cut and sewed. And then by the time I got samples, it was before they had invoiced me. So I took the samples and put them online, and then they sold, and I took that money to pay the first invoice.
Oh, awesome.
Great.
And I was like, wow, I could actually pay this. I had no idea how I was going to do that. Yeah. So I took that and I went and sewed on my second run at the factory. I don't know if you guys know who Darcy Michael is. So Darcy and Jer on TikTok, when they first, Jer bought Darcy the playsuit for his birthday 2 years ago. And they had maybe 300,000 followers on TikTok at the time. And as soon as their video went out, every playsuit I had in my shop was sold by their followers. It was amazing. It was the first time I'm going to say I went viral.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the video did okay, but it wasn't even like how many views the video got. It was, they shopped everything I had. That was the proof I was looking at.
So did you sell the whole 100 pretty quickly?
The first 100 sold immediately. The second lot that I invested that money into just by chance went viral with this video with Darcy and Jer.
And sold.
And it was gone.
Wow.
And then, so that money went into the third lot, which at this point I was ordering maybe like 700 playsuits. Wow. And then that brought me to October of 2021. And so there's a girl named Becca Murray on TikTok, and she is a photographer, and she was on her account saying, what should I wear to shoot this wedding I have to shoot next weekend? And a bunch of my playsuit people were like, you should wear Evan Biddell. You should wear Evan Biddell. So we didn't dress her for that, but I reached out and I said, hey, I'll send you one. Like, you seem like the vibe. Like, for sure, I'll send you one. So sent her a playsuit, forgot about it. All of a sudden, I woke up one day in October of last year, and she had received it in the mail. And she made a video of her getting this playsuit. And in the video, I remember her saying, do you know that playsuit that Darcy wears all the time? Which made me feel like so part of it, right? Anyway, so she made this video, and I didn't sleep for 48 hours because her customers, I think they spent $100,000 in a day or day and a half. Like, they cleared me the fuck out.
Wow.
And I was I remember just feeling like,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank God I had the stock, right?
Yeah.
But they bought till it was gone. And so I was like, damn, people are like trying to get something and I'm sold out now. Like, they weren't even able to get all, like, I was like, man, this is a game changer. Yeah. This changes my whole business now.
You could almost, think of setting up a bit of a pre-buy or a different system.
Pre-order.
So,
yeah.
So this is exactly what happened. So after Rebecca posted the playsuit, she was wearing this, it was called the Stroke of Genius playsuit.
Yeah.
And it was a black and white brush stroke print. And I was like, oh, I really wish I could get that print again, but I had bought the rest of it from my supplier. So they clear out my shop. I get all of these emails. Hey, can I get that print? Can I get that print? Can I get that print? So I sourced the print. I got 1,000 meters of it. I put it for pre-sale. The pre-sale sold out in a week.
Wow.
I was like, I've never bought this much of one print before in my life. Like, this is crazy, 1,000 meters of fabric. But it was just gone. And I was like, I should have got 2,000 meters of that fabric.
Is it that I wore at the shoot at the studio recently? It's like really soft?
No, it's the same fabric that you're wearing. It was just a black and white print.
Okay, cool. Love it.
And I think it was just having Becca wear it.
Yeah.
Her influence is radical self-acceptance. So when you're on Becca's feed, like, she's telling you, like, love food, like, you are perfect the way you are.
Yeah.
Like, embrace yourself and shut those voices up. And so when she aligned with the Playsuit, her messaging was just so natural. It naturally aligned with what I'm doing too.
I love it.
So those are the two major moments on TikTok that changed my life.
Yeah, actually.
Going into 2023, my entire program now is like TikTok. I am just...
Absolutely.
Like when I sit on Instagram, I feel like I'm watching the commercials. And then when I get back to TikTok, I'm like, oh, my show's back on.
Yeah.
Who's watching commercials?
Right.
I like Instagram for the polish it has.
Yeah.
And it gives me a chance to... I mean, it's supposed to give us a chance to really share our brand identity and where our customers can get a more in-depth look into the brand. Whereas TikTok is where we make content for people to discover the brand.
Right.
So I spend a lot more time on TikTok because I like the fact that 85% of my customers are in Middle America.
Right.
They are not on my Instagram. No matter what I do on Instagram, it's never going to give me the reach.
Yeah.
It's never going to give me Australia, Scandinavia, all over. Like, I've shipped Playsuits around the world, and it's all because of TikTok. But Instagram's great because it does give you more control over your own brand identity, whereas TikTok almost is dictated by what works in the world.
Yeah.
So you don't really control how good your TikTok does, but you can control how good your Instagram does, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Instagram just wants you to pay for views, right?
Yeah. Whereas
so it's a pay as you go.
Yeah, they're at a bit of a different life cycle in their business. So yeah, they want you to pay for views.
Yeah. And if you don't, then you just get nothing.
Yeah.
Then you just go to TikTok.
Yeah, you just go to TikTok. That's where it's like TikTok is like the party, and like maybe Instagram's more like your business vibe, you know?
Well, TikTok also forced me to really let it all hang out, like figuratively and literally. You know, like I'm up in there, like letting my love handle show and whatever, right? Like, who cares? It's just a body. We all have like stuff going on.
Yeah.
And TikTok feels way less judgmental and way more supportive.
Yeah, I've heard that.
A lot of people don't give TikTok the chance because when you start it, it looks like a bunch of young kids doing stupid shit. And it's really hard to like find your videos.
Yeah.
But once you do, and once you like follow the right people, because TikTok pays attention to who you're following, who you chat with, who likes your stuff, and then they do a brilliant job of pushing you through that tiny little funnel of
stuff for you.
Stuff exactly for you. And so once you're in there, and once I found myself in there and I was like, oh my God, like I used to feel so alone in this world.
And now it's like the people are there. I noticed, you know, I did like mostly dry January, and like I used to be out at events and like drink pretty frequently, like, you know, like not like super hardcore, but, you know, a couple times a week and stuff. And I used to get a lot of TikTok things that were like, you know, jokes about like getting a bag or like, you know, drinking, partying, stuff like that. And I found when I started to be like, okay, you know, I'm going to like think about being more of like a sober-ish person or Cali sober. And I found that it's like, I started really getting a lot more things on my TikTok that were like, this is what alcohol does to your brain. This is what alcohol does to your body. And I found it so comforting because it's like, I would go to TikTok and it's like, you know what? I am totally not. I'm going to go out for dinner. I'm not going to have a beer at dinner because it's like, I know now I learned so much just from TikTok, and that it actually somehow it knew that I was like going on a new path. And I find it so comforting. And it's like, you just, it really has a magical way of showing you the things that you kind of need.
And supporting you in a way that it's like, oh, are you up against this wall? Here's a bunch of tools to help you scale that wall.
Yeah, it's actually really, really crazy.
Like I was like, oh, it was 2020. So, okay, it was 2020. And I said, my New Year's resolution was I'm going to conquer TikTok. I'm going to figure this fucker out because I know there's something going on there. And I have no idea what it is because I would look at it and I'd be like, I'm looking at something that's in another language. Like it's a whole different, you're taking in so much information so fast.
Yeah.
And so I had to like almost train my brain. I probably spent 40 hours on the app just to catch up to how fast you need to consume that media.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's like, okay. And you're kind of like, what did I do? Like, you're never going to be the same after.
Yeah.
But almost for the better. Because I think it's like, it's human evolution. Like your brain needs to work faster. I'm not going to post a photo and then write some words under it, expecting you to take the time to go and read that after you know. And
then write a thoughtful comment to no, people are like, give me the next thing.
It's like words on top of your face with an audio and a sound and a 7 seconds later, it's done. And you've got all of that information that used to take me 30 seconds to take.
Yeah.
So you can't go back. I don't regret getting in here, but now I'm almost 40 and none of my friends want to talk about TikTok. So
that's okay. There's you have your TikTok fam,
I certainly do.
People there. And I mean, I love hearing about it. I think that's something we're definitely going to get to for the podcast because we've had so many great guests say amazing things. And I feel like they're just really going to slap on TikTok, whereas Instagram is more like, I don't know. I feel like the audience and the people would really respond to it more, maybe on TikTok.
Sounds right. Yeah. I'm all game for putting all of our stuff on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like there's a depth there that Instagram's never going to have.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of community over there that Instagram will never have. There's also, when you're on TikTok, you're literally on Instagram being like, look at me and how fabulous I am. And it's like mostly your friends seeing it.
Yeah.
And you have people Whereas TikTok, that's why these Instagrammers try to go over to TikTok and nobody gives a bleep about them because they're up and they're trying to tell them about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how bored that would be to sit there and someone you have no idea who they are starts talking about themselves? Right. Boring. How about you talk about me? How about you tell me something you're going to give me? That's what TikTok is.
Yeah.
You go up on TikTok, you want to give them something.
Yeah.
You're not trying to big up your whatever. You're literally like, hey, do you have a chubby waistline? Are you sick of pants that cut into your love handles? Come here. I got a Playsuit and it's going to fix all your problems.
Yeah.
That's TikTok.
Yeah.
Whereas Instagram's look at how fabulous I look in this Playsuit. Don't you want to be just like me?
Yeah. Or my heavily edited photo that makes your entire life look perfect and you have no flaws whatsoever. Whereas TikTok is here's my flaws. Do you have them too? Cool. Also, I learned so many things from TikTok, whether it's from Clean Talk and tips for cleaning or organizing or food things on TikTok. I mean, health and wellness type of things. I'm always at home telling Sean, it's oh, I learned this thing or some type of healthy thing to make. I mean, I've been making the carrot salad that went rival on TikTok, and I never ate so many carrots in my life. And it's I would never have known those healthy, whatever kinds of life hacks that you just find there.
There is so much to learn on TikTok. For instance, how to run your business on TikTok. How do you think I learned how to do this? Well, I learned it on TikTok.
Yeah.
You literally find creators on there who are oh, are you an entrepreneur and you want to market your brand on TikTok? Here's how you do it. Step A, B, C, D. And then you're great. And then you follow 3 of those guys. And by the end of the month, you've got all the information you need to actually bring your brand to the platform and be profitable.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And there's the one girl, she's Cove Essentials. She's Canadian. She's super young, KOV. She I don't know, decided she's going to sell a hair clip. Okay, you got a hair clip made somewhere. Okay, whatever. Not impressed at all, but she's sharing her wild success.
Yeah.
And she shows you oh, this is how many sales I made today from this thing. And then you watch her printing out her Shopify tickets and you're God, I want to print out that many Shopify tickets. So I obsessed over her and just was so it's okay to talk about my success now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, no, that was a faux pas. But in the world we're in now, people want to be part of a success story.
Yeah.
That made me more excited to hear about her stupid hair clip was how many she was selling.
Yeah.
Because then I'm now I'm fascinated. Oh, but you just have a cute little box and the branding's you got it on Canva and what's so special about you? You're so basic, but she's offering, there was zero gatekeeping. Every single facet of her business, you can go on her TikTok and she'll show you exactly how she got where she is. And I found that hyper inspiring to a guy like me.
Yeah. And I saw something recently that the Playsuit you've sold $1 million of the Playsuit.
That's fucked up by now.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And some people have 20 Playsuits.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can wear, like, you can dress it up, you can dress it down, you like layer it, you can like whatever. I mean, I have 3. What am I going to get next? I need like the black bamboo kind of one. I love that.
Well, next, funny enough, we enter that part. I remember back in 2010, Kingdom. Do you remember my show Kingdom? It was the last big show I did. It was up at the Mannequin Factory. This thing was an incredible show. We had literally spotlit the models. It was at this warehouse with mannequins everywhere. We did like 35 looks. It was called Kingdom. I put 4 months of my whole life into this thing. And I think I was 27 years old. And I remember that because the article came out and it was like, is Evan Biddell going to join the 27 Club?
Oh.
It was Sarah Nicole Prickett wrote this thing. She was like, he's genius at selling himself, but will he ever sell some clothes? And like at the time, no, I wasn't selling any clothes. I left fashion because at the end of that show, everyone around me was getting a check and I was getting a bill and I didn't even have a home at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, fine, Toronto, you don't get me. And I left. I left fashion because I was like, that was my 6th collection out. And I was just so sick of spending $100,000 to make $75,000, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
But
so let's hear a bit about your history. Okay. Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Oh, wow.
And then I left Medicine Hat, and my mother and my older brother at the time, my dad left after I was born. Which I thought was nothing, but now through my therapies, I'm like, oh, maybe that did trigger some shit later. Then we were mostly in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So I was in like kindergarten till high school, end of high school in Saskatoon. And that's where I started like raving and making clothes. So then I lived in Fernie and my aunt got me, I was very large. My aunt got me a gym pass. I remember losing 100 pounds in 6 months and opening a store.
For 6 months.
Yeah. And I was 20. So like it was way easier to lose weight back then.
Yeah.
Now, it would take me 2 years to lose that much weight. But so I opened my first store. I got in shape and I kind of like came to life as like maybe a bit more of an adult than I was prior. That was Fernie. This was 20. And then I moved to Victoria and I opened a store in Victoria where I just had like sewing machines and a bookshelf with fabrics you could choose from. And I was like literally just making clothes for people out of this little shop on Johnson Street in Victoria. And most of my business came from, there was an escort service across the street. So the girls would come over and have me make them stuff and just sort of like, how you doing this month, baby? My one friend in particular, she would come in and just throw money at the table to be like, how's your rent? Did you make rent? Like, it's very cute. So I was like working.
Sure,
I did all
I'll make
these
you
like,
whatever you want.
Yeah, I did all these hoe clothes. It was fun. And then I moved to Vancouver and then I was working in film and this was in maybe 2004, 2005. And then I was in the costume department for a film or a TV series called Painkiller Jane. No one watched it. And then that was the first time I actually did like a runway show. One of the episodes in the show was the bad guy she would kiss someone and take their youth. So it was like a sci-fi show. And so there was like the first opening scene was like a runway show. And then backstage, this model like kissed one model and took her youth and killed her.
Yeah.
So they were like, we need a fashion show. So what? And so my job became like, make this fashion show for this TV show.
Oh, cool.
So I made a little fashion show
in the show.
Yeah. Fashion show in the show. And then they were like, they didn't tell me this, but they were like, hey, Evan, come see. And so I went on set and they like put my name on the foot of the runway and they carved my name in an ice block.
Oh my God.
And I was maybe 22 at the time.
That's
I was
so nice of them.
It was so nice of them. But I worked my ass off to make those clothes too. And I was just paid as a seamstress. So, so then shortly after that, then I applied and got onto Project Runway Canada.
Yep.
And then won that and then moved to Toronto.
Well, you won that.
I won Project Runway Canada.
And that was
let's talk about that.
Project Runway Canada.
Season.
It's funny because I'm hosting a night at Laval next month and they have on there Evan Biddell, winner of Project Runway Canada. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never ever going to live that.
No, it's part of who you are now. Like it's going to be on everything all the time. Should I make it the title of this episode?
Wow. So that's a pretty intense. How many months did you film that over?
So Project Runway feels like they must have taken months to shoot this. And I think we did it in less than 1 month.
What?
Because it's every day.
Yeah, it's every day for basically a month, let's just say.
I was very tired.
I bet.
The first 2 or 3 nights there, because I couldn't have my weed, like I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And then I also thought there were cameras in the walls and there were cameras in the bathroom over here.
Well, you don't know because it's like a reality show.
And we were sequestered then. Like we lived together. They woke us up with like a camera in your face in your bedroom. So like, oh my God. I was just, and you know, they're telling you stuff. You're not believing anything they're saying because you're like, you're from TV. You just lie to people. Like I can just tell you're
television is a web of lies.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Whatever. All that reality TV stuff too. In the same breath, I was young enough and poor enough at the time that I was living it up. I thought I was like, oh my God, I got all my food paid for. I got this nice comfy bed.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is great. And then some of the other designers are like, oh, I miss my house. How long do we have to be here for? God, this is so annoying.
Whereas you're like, woo!
Where did we film it? Where'd they film it?
In Liberty Village.
Oh, okay.
In that studio, like over in that dead end studio.
Yeah, I know where do you mean at the end of Liberty.
So you go in and you've got a bunch of challenges. I mean, every day, every other day, you're doing a challenge of some sort.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Project Runway was really great for me because I am a really fast cutter and sewer, and I have a really good eye after like making so many different people clothes up until Project Runway. Like when I got there and they were like, here's a nicer sewing machine you ever had, a bigger cutting table that you've ever had, an actual dress form to work on, and a professional model to dress. I was like, this is going to be fucking easy.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a dream. I was like, I've never had this amount of tools.
Right.
Like, first of all, I was working on like a little domestic thing. So I just thrived in that setting because also I think I was 23 years old. I was the youngest guy there. And I came from BC where like no one around me was also a fashion designer or like, so to me, I was like, well, I am the best at this because
I'm the only one.
In my world, I was the best at it.
Right.
Yeah.
So watching it back, it's quite cringe to see me be so arrogant and so entitled and cocky and just, I see it now and I'm like, oh, that is so insecure, Evan, right? Like with the guard up. The one scene where I'm like, oh, some of these designers are going to have a hard time with this one. Okay, 23-year-old, like, so cocky and confident. I wish I could be that fearless now, though.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think reaction videos to that show on TikTok.
You should do some on TikTok reaction to your own cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually. Where he's like sitting back and he's got his fur. Who do you think you are? Sit up straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And then after Project Runway Canada,
what did you win?
I won $100,000.
Wow.
Which I immediately flew to Paris and went to John Galliano and bought a jacket.
Okay.
That's what I did with that money.
Wow.
Well,
that was all of it.
Money.
Yeah.
That's all of it. $25,000 more.
Yeah.
No, and then I spent $30,000 on my first fashion show, which everybody was like, you have to show a fashion show. You can't win Project Runway and not. And then I had
you invested the money into a show, 30,000 of it.
And then at the end of that show, I was told
the goal of the fashion show.
Well, after that show, I was told this was a terrible show. Everything was awful. What a waste of our time. Blah blah blah.
No.
So I went into a probably 2-month depression where I didn't leave the house and I ate coffee time apple fritters for like 2 months.
Oh no!
Oh man!
And my boyfriend at the time like was just like caretaking me because I couldn't. I thought that if I walked out on the street of Toronto, everybody was laughing at me.
Right.
And I thought that everybody hated me and everybody, I thought they all hated me. And I was scared to leave the house for like 2 months after my first show.
Wow.
It was a disgusting amount of money to spend because I had the wrong people telling me I had to spend in certain ways. This model casting director person like picked me up from the airport and like bottle of wine, welcome to the city. And then I'm going to help you cast your show, blah, blah, blah. Here's your invoice we never told you about. And here's this model that you paid $1,000 for. And I was just like,
you're like, oh my God, overwhelmed.
Okay. And then I was probably more famous than other Canadian fashion designers at the time because nobody knew anything about Canadian fashion designers. It's just the way it was. And so I was treated as such, like I was this established thing. And I was just like, I'm a little raver kid with drug problems from the prairies. Like, stop treating me like a corporation, please.
Right.
But I just did whatever I was told to do, you know. Thank God I had like gotten out of that depression to pick up my skirt and do another show, which ended up actually being really great. We brought in $60,000 in sponsorship dollars back then. Do you remember like fashion shows?
Yeah. Like there was like the peak time of when like World MasterCard Fashion Week and sponsors, like that one year with the Target Lounge, and like there was a lot of sponsorship for stuff.
Because it was before the internet. So before digital marketing.
Before pre-Instagram.
All of those companies would pay us to get into the press for them.
Yeah.
So the only people that controlled any media were the media.
Yeah.
So you wanted David Livingston from the Toronto Star to write about your show and say good things. And then K-Swiss or Audi or some of these other companies would come in to try to get you to like mention them in your press interviews and pay us to like whatever. So it was a lucrative time back then. And I was famous. So we were like, get that.
That was also the time of like when fashion bloggers were actually getting in front rows and people were getting all pissed off. And
so I was doing fashion shows to literally get sponsorship dollars.
Right.
I was being paid to do the shows at this point.
Right.
That's how I was justifying them. I never knew that I was supposed to be doing a show to like sell this clothing line. Like I never even got there yet.
Right.
Like that's where I finally am now as a 40-year-old who's now going to slowly start a clothing line.
Yeah.
With knowing what I know what I hate the most?
What?
This is what I hate so much. And this happens to me for some reason all the time. It's this. It's, my niece is going into fashion school. Could you give her some tips?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. That's what I say. And then they get mad. And I'm like, if you're asking for tips about something like this, you probably should not be doing this.
Yeah.
Because I say it, it's like, if you don't love it, you're going to hate it.
If it's not something that you would do every day, whether you're paid or not paid, then it's like, you're probably like if.
Hey, Evan, so what is the magic formula where, can you just show me the switch I'm supposed to hit to have success in fashion? And you're like, oh my God.
The off switch, do something else.
I've lost friends because of this. Like my friend literally, anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want me to say?
I don't know. No one knows. It's like.
Well, if you broke down your switch, like because of lately you've had a switch, right? What has been that switch for you lately?
I had a bone to pick, and after that first show out after Project Runway, and like I went into that hole, I spent a lot of time just sort of like, for the first time, questioning myself.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the first time I was like, what am I doing? Maybe I am a loser, and maybe I do suck as much as this article says I do. And this sense of like self-doubt came in, which I'd never had before.
Because it sounds like you basically went from that TV set where you're working with the TV company, and then you got to Project Runway, and there wasn't a lot of self-reflection or any through that whole time.
No.
And then you got on the show and you came in with a lot of confidence. You freaking won it. So it's like, and so then after that, you've got this moment, which is a pretty defining moment, it sounds like. But what did you change about your next collection that you didn't do in your first? Like, what'd you do?
So I was moving here from BC, and this was in 2007, 2008.
Okay.
So I was like, my collection is made out of organic cotton. I'm doing all sustainable bamboo. This wool was dyed with non-toxic chemicals. And this conversation was not yet happening in Toronto.
Yeah.
This was fast forward 10 years. That's what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
So I tried to do this thing where I was going to show Toronto how eco-friendly I could be and how I wasn't going to use oil fabrics and all this stuff. And so I was like saving the planet instead of just showing like my creativity, sharing my like self. I was like maybe hiding behind saving the planet. A lot of 20 something people do that.
Yes.
Because they feel like I also felt like I didn't want to be this person who's just like, now that I'm the winner, I was like, oh, it's time for me to give back.
Yeah.
Charity. No, you still are the charity. Sit down.
Yeah.
Get to work.
You don't mean about saving the planet specifically. You just mean putting up some type of a themed front to conform to avoid maybe stripping back the layers to get to yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay.
I was 24, 25. I forgive myself for all this stuff knowing young people today. I've met a group of young fashion people in town and like I'm sort of mentoring them, supporting them in however I can. But the conversations I'm having, I'm like, oh my God, you just remind me so much of my younger self.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, but you have to let young people be like that, right? You're never going to tell them like, no, it's actually like this. The sooner you get this, the better off you'll be. But you have to let people just
and they
run
have to
the
learn
course.
And figure it out.
You know, that's it. And I had to learn just the same. And I don't know. I guess those fashion shows that I did in Toronto that were very like raw Toronto Fashion Week, like we were all there, like seeing everybody all the time. And like there was an industry with like a meeting point and a community. You know, the world was different then too. There was a lot of gatekeeping. No one's going to tell me where the factory is. No one's going to tell me where their fabric suppliers are. That's,
right.
You know,
figure it out.
You figure that out on your own.
Right.
Like today, no. Somebody asks me any facet of anything, I'll tell them where the factory is.
Right.
I'll tell them where the best suppliers are. Like gatekeeping now is a term that we use to call those. I want to swear so much.
You can swear. It's okay.
Call those people out all the time. You know, like or now.
Yeah.
Because. Yeah, when I was younger, I really wish somebody had told me, like, here's a pattern maker. Here's a factory that can actually sew your stuff for you so you don't have to sew every single one.
Right. Now, if they ask you how much money is it going to cost for the answer?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I also now freely talk about the money, too, because I've learned that, like, through educating myself on TikTok, these young entrepreneurs sharing, like, all of their info, that just drives business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That drives interest. It doesn't scare anyone away. Like, you know.
Makes people want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather hear that a product made somebody like $5 million than them being like, you know, this made me a good $40-$50. You want to buy one?
Yeah. Like, you want to
they're
buy
pretty
one.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that show one is the eco-friendly push. Then you go and get some alone time. And that sounds like it would have been brutal because you don't want to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, you start thinking of a next show.
Yeah.
So do you still have any money left from the win?
No.
Okay. You still have the jacket from Paris?
I have the jacket from Paris. Yeah.
Nice.
It absolutely doesn't fit me anymore, but that's okay.
Keep it forever.
It's from his Warrior collection. I'll have it forever.
What size?
European extra large, which is basically a small.
Damn.
I don't know what size it is, but it is staying in my closet.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so then what was your idea for the next show that got you excited enough to start putting the energy and ramping up another show?
Well, the way I remember it is I had met Ali Lowy, and she's a girlfriend of mine who is friends with Keelan, who owns 69 Vintage.
Yeah, I love her.
So I don't exactly remember the details, but I made Ali pants and kind of like right in front of her. Like somebody wants some pants, I can like look at you and make you some pants. And so back then, especially, like maybe not today, but and she was just like, how did you make me pants that fit perfectly? And who are you?
Yeah.
And so she was really like, what do you mean that you just came off this? So she wanted to help me because she was like, you can't get up. You can't be like sitting here on your ass when you just came off a show. Like everybody loves you. Why do you think everybody hates you? She didn't get it because I don't think anybody really knew about this.
Yeah.
Except my partner. So I don't even know. I think we moved out of that apartment and into a bigger space that was right behind the Drake Hotel, and I invested what was left of the money into machines, table, fabric, and I spent the rest of the money to establish like a proper studio in town. And then we did the show because once we started getting, people were calling to be like, can we sponsor you? Then I was like, oh, I should start answering the phone again.
Yeah.
Hi, yes, you can sponsor me.
Right.
But it was like, and then we did a collection. And then I remember it was the first season I worked with Peter Papapetru, who was my stylist. And so I've stuck with him ever since because Peter brings a sense of professionalism to my program. Mm-hmm. So when I have a show and I'm like, well, I want to do everything. And then Peter takes everything I do and he like translates it.
His name came up in another episode.
Recently. I don't remember with who, but
No, she was nervous about saying the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how to say it.
Yeah.
Papa Petra. I mean, you got to just say it fast.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing.
So that next show, you did how many looks?
I think it was always around 30.
Wow.
That's a lot of looks.
A ton of looks.
Yeah. And it was like jeans, drop crotch jeans, and big onesies, as I always did. I guess those eyelets came out. Had some like coated like biker jackets, and Stacey McKenzie. No, that was the one after that.
Do you have video of all these shows?
They're on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's some video out there.
Wow.
And on your website, I believe.
So then you did how many more?
So we did 6 seasons.
Wow.
So the first one, and then we did 2009, 2010, 10, and then Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And then I did 2013 at Fashion Week, and then I'd done Fat 4 times.
So when you go from one collection into the next through all these 6, how are you consciously developing your own brand and your own sense of yourself through these collections? Or are they all ended up being quite different?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess knowing what my brand was back then when I was doing runway shows at Fashion Weeks consistently was not something that I even understood. Like I didn't know what it meant to anything. I wasn't doing it to try to fit a thing that I was supposed to do. I didn't go to fashion school. They didn't tell me like, I was just kind of going with it. I knew how to sew and cut and sew. And I found a ton of enjoyment out of like timing with the music and like which girl and like what in that moment and what the lighting's going to look like.
Putting
and, like,
on the show.
The presentation of the work is where I've always said that's when I really turn into an artist, is that 10 minutes. And then it's done. And so it was really, really unhealthy to just have that be my focus, because at the end of that 10 minutes and the months and months of prep, there's that lull.
Yeah, I can only imagine what that's like.
And I would just go down. Mm-hmm. And then because it would be like, there's nothing to do now. I'm not going to start anything yet. Nobody bought anything from me again. Fair, whatever. I didn't make anything to sell. That would have been smart. Hey.
Yeah, you did a show and nothing to sell.
Just a bunch of crazy, cool looking stuff that looked good on a model on a runway with some lighting and good music. But can you sit in it? Can I wear that somewhere in real life? No. Yeah. Okay. What category of fashion do you make? All of it? Yeah. Like streetwear, evening wear, and like, no, it had none of those. It didn't fit into any like product.
How much time on average does each look take? And are you making all of them yourself?
I hand sewed everything I ever showed, yeah.
Wow.
But that was also like what I'm not doing anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
You learned.
Yeah. Like it was like then when I'm young and in my 20s and I wanted to like show everyone what I could do, that's how I did it. Mm-hmm. Now I'm like, I've shown everybody what I can do. I don't really need to show anybody anything else I can do. I don't care about that anymore.
Yeah.
Now that the one thing I made, the Playsuit, like now that the Playsuit was a hit and I finally made something that was actually useful to people.
It's successful and people bought it.
Wearable.
People bought it. A lot of people
chose to buy it without all the bells and whistles, right? Yeah. But what I learned from doing all those shows versus now is like, I had no idea about my personal brand. It wasn't until the Playsuit that I realized my personal brand, which is now why I'm comfortable enough to even offer something like the work suit, because I think your brand really just is who shops it. End of the day, it's just the customer. That's the only thing that matters to me. And now that I know exactly who they are and I chat with them all the time, it's not these fashion people that I was chasing before. Getting fashion people to like your stuff is like, it's like, whatever. It's a lot of brown nosing, to use clean language. Mm-hmm. It's really not like, I was never good at that. Mm-hmm. I was never good at making like the who's who care about me.
Right.
And so I was like kind of trying to impress these people,
the wrong people
who they're not even my people. They're never even going to be my people. Why do you care what they think?
You know what though? In fashion, if you have a solid core of growing people, eventually over time, you seem to get those fashion people, eventually.
Yeah.
Look at Crocs. Okay. Crocs had a solid core of great people, core like people who love Crocs. And all of a sudden I see fashion people are like into Crocs.
Well, Balenciaga did them, right?
Yeah,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So you have that tribe. And once the tribe gets big enough, seems like the high fashion goes, oh, there's a tribe over there that we can, flip or something. So you give it another decade.
I know.
And this work suit will be over at LV. They'll rip it.
Actually, I really liked the Marnie and Carhartt collaboration right now. It's kind of like this. It's like a work suit, but like printed cool Marnie prints.
Yeah.
It was really good. I kind of wanted to buy some of it, but hey, they didn't make it in big enough sizes. And that is where I come in. My brand is about larger sizes. Like this work suit we just released today in a small and a medium.
Well, a true medium and up size.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is, but like
larger size, a true medium.
But I may not be making smaller ones. Like I may just make big ones because welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Trying to try to shop something, it's impossible when you have this body.
Yeah.
And now all I want to do is be like, here, now you guys can have some too.
Yeah. And that's fair. It's like, I often buy a lot of my favorite place to get jumpsuits that I wear is Zara Kids because I'm short and small and but I can always find things to fit my body because I'm like a small person. So if your work suit doesn't come in my size, that's okay.
It might. It'll still be big. It's going to be in your size, but you're going to have to deal with like the volume.
That's what a belt is for.
Yeah, a belt.
Oh, you belt it.
Yeah, it's fine.
I also need to have a belt. I'm looking into getting my logo as a belt buckle.
Oh, God, I can't wait.
I'm doing a shirt.
Okay.
It's just the shirt that's big enough, and then we're doing it in lengths.
Oh, that's so smart.
I'm doing a pant. Just a pant that fits my 48-inch, whatever it is, waist at this point.
Yeah.
And a jacket, a little cropped jacket.
Oh.
Because I want a cropped jacket too, but for some reason the world thinks that big people don't want cropped things. And it's like, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make the things that I don't see in the world, and they're going to be useful, and they're not going to be too fashionable. I think fashion is over there, and I think I'm a little bit more style now. Like if you're a stylish person,
I like that.
You don't really want something that's ostentatious. Like you want something that is sort of basic that you can give style to.
Yeah, and practical that you can add on to. I mean, years ago, there was something called the Uniform Project where a girl had, a very, very simple dress, and she had 3 of the dress, and she only wore that dress for an entire year and styled it so many different ways. And it's like one of the reasons why I love, like yesterday, I wore an outfit that was very similar to your work suit, and it's one of my favorite things to wear because I can make it look really funky. I can layer things, and it's like something that is like that. You can, if you're a stylish person or you have style, you can turn it into anything.
It's more exciting to find something that you can wear a lot than something that's stunning and gorgeous that's going to hang in your closet. And
that you wear once, someone takes a picture of it, and then you got to wait till that picture's gone before you wear it again. Like fashion-y fashion, you know?
I made that for years.
Yeah.
I did the moment. I called myself when I had a Twitter account back in the
olden
early
days.
Whatevers, I was called Evan Biddell Fashion Moment Maker because that's all I was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Giving people little moments. And now the Playsuit's like transcendent of that, and it's like, no, it's not a moment anymore. Like it's
a lifestyle, baby.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I want to add to, now that I have this body of customers that I know so well and that they're sticking with me, and like now I'm comfortable to be like, okay, what else do we need?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we need this, a shirt, a crop jacket, a pant. Like now I'm just going to insert like basics, but for us specifically.
I love it.
Yeah. Because I think it's more important to put useful stuff into the world than just flashy artistic stuff, which I can find.
Yeah.
I have no problem, whatever, but I think what I'm going to produce, I just want people to really love it and use it and like put their own essence in it. Like I love clothes that they like absorb people's energy and like your smell and your like sweat and like all of your zhuzh goes into your clothes. And so like it's the clothes that get that you wear the most that get the most of your essence in them. And those are the clothes I want to put into the world now.
Very nice.
That's great.
I could imagine wearing that around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's funny you said the playsuit around the house, because when we started the playsuit in 2020, people called it the quarantine suit.
Yeah.
And while we were all in quarantine, it worked so well for like sitting at your desk.
How do you get into it?
Oh,
through the neck?
You just like
through the neck.
Yeah, you just slip it on. I have like
through the neck.
Slip it on, and then if you take the belt off, it's like so comfortable. Just do a little demo. I just love it. It's great for dancing. It's good in any temperature. You can put like in the winter, you can layer it. Looks great with a turtleneck or like tights underneath, or in the summer, just throw it over a bathing suit. This one specifically dries fast. It's great for like, I'm obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
Love my play suits.
Totally. So
the world's just changed so much, though.
The world
has changed so much.
Oh yeah.
I think while the world was changing and we were all like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I just really, really knew, and I was so scared for 2 weeks. Some people were scared for 2 years. I was scared for 2 weeks. I had a giant pimple on my nose in March of 2020, and I was looking at the world change, and I was just like, we're all going to have to be different now forever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever we were doing is over. And so in that opportunity, I really just knifed to the heart of old Evan, and anything I was doing before would just died. It was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so I dove in and I said, I have to figure out where the world's going. I have to see where we're being taken along this crazy path. And the only thing I knew was they weren't letting anybody work unless you were essential. And I was like, okay, well, I've been selling non-essential goods my entire career. What can I possibly do that is essential? And everybody was so dark and scared and at home, and there was all this desperate energy in the world. And I was like, well, what about joy? Like, people need joy. And in this tragedy, I was able to really pinpoint how I was going to be essential. Mm-hmm. And so then I was like, my brand is joy. Yeah. So then how am I going to spread that joy? Well, I'm going to dance on the internet and smile and play house music and try to bring people's spirits up. So then that's where insert the playsuit. And so when people saw how free I was able to just feel while everyone's locked up, I think that was the perfect storm of like a branding opportunity to say, listen, are you needing to feel alive again? Are you wanting to feel like special? And, you know, have you been depressed and down and you want something that you can wear around your house, but as you vacuum, you feel like you're like also fancy? Like, I just really fit that need in that moment in time. And I think back then people were buying playsuits to support me. And there were people that knew me and followed my career for years. And they were just happy to like throw some money in my account. You know, the world became a very supportive place in that summer. I don't know if you remember it, but everybody was like, oh, you're a small business. Like,
supporting local. Yeah.
Let me buy 2 just to get some money to you. You know, like people became really aware of creative types around them. And so I was very supported immediately there. But then, like once it hit TikTok and then once the strangers started coming in and falling in love with it, and then people I didn't know from like all over the place then it wasn't like they're not buying it to support me anymore. They're buying because they want it. They want that feeling. They want that joy and that effervescent freedom that you get from wearing a playsuit. And so I was like, damn, like I actually have something that's like, people want this. Like, and also like, good luck ripping it off. Like people are like, aren't you gonna, like, can't you patent it? It's like, no, you can't patent a design. I don't know if most people don't know that.
Oh, okay.
You can't be like, this is my way of like cutting a piece of fabric and no one else can do that. Like, that's not a thing. You can patent a logo, you can patent the name, but you can't patent the design. But I was like, I don't know, go ahead. I dare you to try to rip it off. It's basically a sheet with a hole in it. And without me, you're not going to have any context. Yeah. And it took me my entire life to give it context. So without my life, the playsuit's basically a dead thing. It looks stupid on a hanger. It looks even dumber on a real model. Like, good luck.
Right.
Good luck.
So the brand on that tag is?
It just says Biddell. I don't even know if that has a tag.
I don't think those ones.
No, because those
this was like a sample when we
I sewed that one myself. Yeah.
It's like wearing the playsuit, it's like a hug from you.
Aw. Yeah. It's a simple construction, but that's what it needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also sell them. They start at $150 to $225. Like, I couldn't pay for more labor than that, you know?
Yeah.
So,
wow. And how many different patterns and colors do you have them in now?
Oh, I wish I knew.
Wow.
So
that many.
I don't even know. Right now, there's maybe 15, but over the years, I don't even know. Hundreds.
And most of them are bought from your site.
They've all been bought. I don't have a single playsuit left over.
Wow.
As many as I make sell. And so right now, and again, like I'm self-funded. And so yes, I've sold $1 million worth of playsuits in the last 2 years. So all of that profit I have to now put into hopefully having enough stock. I'm stocking up. I have an announcement to make.
Yeah, great.
Amazing.
So I am finally going to do a fashion show to celebrate the success of the Playsuit.
Wow. Congratulations.
Amazing.
That's exciting.
We're gonna show at Toronto Fashion Week on, I'm gonna say April 28th. It may also be April 29th, but I think they're gonna put us on the Friday night.
Amazing.
I have already booked the flights for Darcy, Michael, and Jeremy, my big TikTokers.
Aww.
Who are flying like first class bougie bitches.
Yeah.
And Rebecca and her partner are coming from LA.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So I have my I cannot wait because both of them are so excited. It's like I get to treat these people like they are my like Nicki Minaj and like, like they're not major celebrities, but to me, the proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely.
Like I've seen what they can do as far as like how much they love the Playsuit. So to be able to fly them in, put them up at the Drake Hotel, we're going to have the rooftop terrace, I'm hoping. It's going to be a celebration. Like Darcy walking out and like, I'm probably going to put him in like a midnight sequin playsuit with like a platform shoe and just like give him his supermodel moment. He jokes about being a supermodel on his account all the time when he's just like walking poolside with a floppy hat.
It's going to happen now.
And his partner, Jer, like makes fun of him always. Like, these are my impressions of Darcy. And he'll like put on a playsuit and then like walk around like, I don't know, they're so funny. And then Becca too is just this like, wholesome girl from Los Angeles who's a photographer who, loves the playsuit. And like when I told her the next day after her fans like cleared me out, she was just like, oh my God, couldn't believe it. Had no idea that her influence was that major.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm bringing in my TikTokers for Fashion Week. We're doing it at FAT.
Cool.
I'm working really closely with Vanya to make sure we present Canada and Toronto and our fashion industry as well as we can. There isn't a fashion week right now. And when I was at the IDS, did I see you at IDS? No, I didn't.
No, I didn't, but I was there.
Everyone was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need a fashion event again where we can meet in real life.
There were so many people I saw that I like hadn't seen in ages. I was screaming. I was hugging everyone. I was like, It
felt like
it was good. But that's what Fashion Week always was, and it's like, hopefully this show, I think you will be a big part of bringing it back.
Yeah, I want to just bring us together again.
Yeah.
Because it was so nice to at least twice a year just check in,
Yeah.
Well, a couple years ago, they had it in Yorkville Village for a bit. Wasn't like, what's been the progression of Fashion Week in Toronto? Because it was in Yorkville for a bit.
There was
they did it like in the mall.
In the street and on Hazelton, and there was
that was
it was before pandemic.
Yes.
So
they had it in Yorkville Village.
Yeah.
They turned that whole like area that's now demolished into the runway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to think about a fashion week in Toronto. Toronto is the only major city in the world without a fashion week right now.
Yeah.
So Fashion Art Toronto is just going to call itself Fashion Week because, well, why not? It's up for grabs.
Yeah.
And they, like Vanya persevered. Like she's still doing her event.
Yeah.
And through the pandemic, she still did it. They did it virtually.
Yeah,
There are certain people are survivors in this world. And Vanya is one of those people. Like, it's amazing to me that she's still doing it. And so, of course, I'm happy to bring and like invest in bringing in heavy hitter TikTokers. Like, that's my world. Like,
yeah.
I don't even know, because as soon as we even tell people like Darcy Michael is going to be walking Fashion Week, like what?
Yeah.
Like, that's exciting. That is just exciting. Anybody who follows him is going to be like really excited for that. And Becca too, like she's just her work and what she's done for us communally as like self-conscious people.
Yeah.
And her like whole vibe of just, she just makes you feel so good about yourself. And so to be able to spotlight these two people who aren't like, they're not big celebrities, but they are to me. They're like my own personal celebrities.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm very excited to.
Have you met them in person yet?
No.
Oh, this is the first.
Never even met them.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
The first thing Becca said was, I can't wait to hug you. And I was like, oh yeah, and the hug. Like,
yeah. That's so special.
I know. And I live across from the Drake again. So, and then Saturday morning after our show, there's going to be drag brunch.
Oh,
and I'm just so excited for that weekend. It's going to be the best.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm coming.
But the only reason I'm doing the show, again, after all of my failed attempts at fashion shows in my past, and I mean failed by being broke after, not failed as in the show was a failure, but my life did not reflect any success. Now that I actually have the success from my product, now I'm like, okay, I can know exactly how much I'm going to need. I know exactly how much I can plan on moving. And then there I can like actually create a budget that's real based on actual numbers I already have, proof of.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's not a risk anymore. Now this fashion show is just pure like, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want.
Right. And people can actually acquire the things that
and
you
they
show.
can buy the things that are on the runway this time.
Oh, and not only that. So the day the runway happens is when the collection will drop online. So like my goal is to promote it so hard that by the time that day happens, the collection will be gone.
Yeah, the show's over, the collection
the next week.
Yeah.
Because I'm hand making these playsuits now for the show. They're going to be like beautiful fabrics. I've been picking up these beautiful mesh covered in sequins, like crystals, like stunning fabrics. But I am going to be cut and sewing these myself. You're going to see all of the bodies. My show is just going to be body positive. And the event is called Fat. And I'm like, I'm going to show the fattest show they've ever had. I'm also going to open the show.
Amazing.
So
look out.
Yeah.
So a big part of this type of a garment is about fabric sourcing.
Yes.
Like
fabric
you're on a hunt for fabric.
Constantly.
So how do you now, can you hunt for fabric in a way where you can assure that company won't sell into a certain market? Like, no. So like somebody else could buy the fabric that you're buying.
Yeah. Like I use a supplier and other designers use that supplier.
Okay. So how do you get into actually creating your own fabrics?
So some of my prints I created. So I found stuff, basically images on Shutterstock.
Creating your own prints.
Well,
Okay,
I wasn't even creating them.
it.
I was sourcing prints on Shutterstock. The world is abundant, right? So creating my own prints, I haven't really gotten into that, like as far as like the graphic design of it. I really like finding whatever's left of something and then making that into a useful thing.
Like the last of it.
Yeah. I love like
I can see that.
dead stock rolls of fabric in like the dude's basement on Queen Street. Like that's where I score.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry if somebody else uses it or whatever. And then you also like it's gone. When it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
At the end of this year, my goal is to actually like look at the last 3 years of my business, figure out exactly how many suits we're going to do. So like come 2024, it's going to be like, you're getting this many suits. And when they're done, they're done. I'm not looking to infinity.
Yeah.
I don't believe in infinity. I live in a capitalistic society. And I think that, as long as you're transparent and you're responsible, you can still be a good capitalist. But I want to be like, this is how many suits we're making. This is how much, this is like literally how the business runs. These are who works here. And once we're done making that many, they're done. We're not going to keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's kind of where I'm at now. I have enough control over like, I put out a style, it sells out within 2 weeks, usually sometimes a month. And that's great.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean I'm like, I should have done more. I don't wish I did more. I don't want the whole world having the same playsuit.
Yeah.
Like at some point we have to start putting caps on how much we consume.
Yeah.
And my consumption isn't just my own, it's also how much my business consumes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm trying to save the planet now.
Yeah.
But
you're doing it in a different way. And it's like, it's kind of like you've done so many things and had the collections and you've learned a lot. And now you are applying like the creativity also to your business. you know, and actual business creativity is like, it's important. I mean, there's a Warhol quote. It's something along like being good in business is the best kind of art. Something like that.
Well, it wasn't until
it's the hardest kind of art.
Yeah.
He says, yeah.
Well, it's true because it was so hard to run a business being the designer and the businessman, right?
Yeah.
Like it's almost impossible. Like unless you're Marc Jacobs does it, maybe someone else. But for the most part, those big designers all have that partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
look at Valentino.
Right. He has that brilliant partner who does it, Dolce and Gabbana, right? Like there's always it's a duo. And I never had that. I had a lot of business partners, but it wasn't until like I left Toronto, went to Montreal, and had to sit in my own like world and be like, okay, I am going to do this. I am capable of running this business as well as being a fashion designer. I can do both.
But you knew what you could chew at that point. Like you could bite off what you knew you could chew. And with this, you can chew this and a whole variety of SKUs of this a lot easier than you can chew, the 19 sizes of pants.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just, it sounds perfect.
Right. And any advice I would give to somebody starting out is like, start small. Just start small. Make 5, Like right now, I have a guru who's helping with, I did my yoga teacher training in November as part of my like sort of sobriety.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You're a yoga teacher?
I have my yin yoga teacher trainings.
Wow.
Amazing.
Cool.
So what it is, it's basically surrendering. So I'm not doing yoga where I'm standing. It's all on the floor.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Where you go into folds and you hold and you breathe and you meditate.
Okay.
Amazing.
Which is why I can now sit at a podcast and I wasn't able to back then, right?
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
I'm just not in the head.
Yeah.
A healing journey, right? The never-ending healing journey has begun. So my guru, I left my training and he had expressed interest in having me help him build his own business. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And I was like, oh my God, somebody thinks I can give them business advice. That's a fucking first, right? But I do have a successful business now. So maybe I do know a thing or two. So what I decided to do with him, I was like, hey, well, let's take in for yin. That's what he always says. This is going to be your brand, in for yin. And so to surprise him at the end of the training, I went and got hoodies printed for all of us in the course.
Yeah.
And I was like, everybody gets a hoodie.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, let's do a hoodie. So we're going to start here. And so he does like his therapies on me. And then in exchange, we're starting with 20 hoodies and they have his image on the back and then the in for yin. And I said, okay, we're going to sell these 20 hoodies for this much. And then you're going to take that and you're going to buy 50 hoodies. And then you can start expanding into like, if you want something other than black, but it's still like, just stick to one thing for now. Make sure it works before you assume it works, right? Like with the work suit, I did 30 of them. So yeah, they're half sold out today in a couple hours, but there aren't a lot of them. And I wasn't going to overproduce them because I don't know if they're going to sell. Now that I'm like,
how much
okay,
are they?
$350 Canadian. So they're like $2 something American.
Yeah, there's more work that goes into that.
This is much more expensive to make than the Playsuit. Yeah.
Probably
but I love them.
Double or triple.
A lot more.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Especially it's something that you can wear so much and you can like style it different ways. Like, I mean, it's great. Very exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be that. And then again, the price is gonna vary depending. Like I found yesterday some beautiful hemp cotton and with like a coating. And so it was maybe like whatever, I don't know the math. It was mathematically more than say this fabric.
Yeah.
So I'll have to charge more once it hits the floor. But like what I charge it's basically based on the fabric.
Yeah.
So the cost is this, and then the fabric fluctuates the retail price.
The labor is a set.
The labor is set.
Of the design.
And then depending on what I use, so I'm excited for the hemp cotton. And then I also have an American supplier with some really heavy duty cotton at a really great price. So that is where I'm going to get my base. Yeah. Worksuit fabric is like, you want to get the fabric cost has to be kind of low in order to do business in Canada. Like it just does. Yeah. So if I step up my fabric, then this cost is going to be up towards around $400. And I think it's worth it because some people want that extra flossy fabric, right?
Yeah.
And then there's denim, and then you're like, do I do the gold denim stitch? You know, like the heavy gold stitch?
Yes.
Like, that's like a certain machine with a certain tension, and then the factory wants you to pay them more because there's
more work.
There's more work. Needles will break. It's like a lot of factories won't even sew this because it's so heavy.
Right. I like that it's so heavy.
That's the point of it, right? So 2 places sent me away, and I was like, not till the third place that I found, and the guy was basically, I don't know. I think he was just taking any job that came in his door, but I was like, here's this job, like do this. So he did a good job sewing them. They're not, again, it's like I'm not trying to make my old runway pieces. Yeah. Imagine handing that to a production place. Here, make these.
Like, what?
These weird things. Yeah, right.
But to get from something practical. Yeah. And like, it's like also it's something that people can get if you spend the money on that. Think about, you could buy a whole bunch of different kind of outfits, or you could have this one work suit that you can literally wear almost every day and style it different ways. And it's become so functional in their wardrobe. And it's like, I think yesterday I spoke on a panel about sustainable fashion. And I think that's one of the things that was coming up. Like, think of yourself as more of a collector of beautiful things, not just like buying new fashion and this and that. But if you, this is a collect, something that you would collect and you would have forever and you would wear a lot. And I think people putting more value on something, and if it costs a bit more, then that's okay because it's something you're collecting.
Yeah, I've stumbled into a bit of a uniform, which is basically this.
Yeah.
And I wear this a lot.
Yeah.
But it's out of a nice sort of peace of mind of knowing it's just something I don't have to think about.
Yeah, totally.
So that's nice. Now, in the evening, it depends where I'm going, I'll tiptoe towards this too. But only, I guess, since the pandemic have I dialed that in.
Yeah, but you have some people have a uniform, which is fine.
Shift. But I guess it's only since the pandemic that I've been doing
uniform. It's good.
But like you said, it creates...
before, I guess.
It creates space in your life now where you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I don't have to think about it. And also, I'm proud of our brand, and I love to wear our brand forever. Yeah. And there's only so many different ways I want to wear it with I don't have many options with a collar to wear it. I love our hoodies, but I don't like to be in a hoodie all day. They're a bit hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Love it. Amazing. Well, I'm really excited for your upcoming show. Congrats on launching the work suit.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Really, really, really.
And I love it. I'm going to get one.
Yeah. Really, really amazing. Awesome.
Thank you for joining us.
It's thank you.
So wonderful.
So great.
It's actually my pleasure. I haven't done like a talking thing in a long time. I was like, oh my God, I have so much to talk about.
Great.
I love it. It always goes like so fast.
Yeah.
Been especially quick with you. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Awesome.